Kyle Larson continues to pick up new sponsors. NASCAR is no longer requiring vaccinations in regards to infield access, and Dillon will be running with a new organization here in 2021. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. We've got a lot of NASCAR stories to discuss here today on the channel. Let's go ahead and just jump straight to it. We're going to start off all the paint schemes and sponsor news. Let's go ahead and just straight into that very, very quickly. The first paint scheme we're going to be taking a look at is Cole Custer's 2021 Wow Wow Classic Waffle scheme that we are going to see this weekend at the Coca-Cola 600. Very solid scheme, in my opinion. You do get the classic gray that Cole Custer has ran, the classic Haas colors that we've seen so far this year. But I do like the touch of the classic waffles on the car. I think it's really, really cool, and I'm definitely looking forward to see this paint scheme out on the racetrack at the Coca-Cola 600. The next paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Tay Fogelman's 2021, the quick clip scheme that we're going to see in two races here at Charlotte and Texas Motor Speedway. Really cool. Tay Fogelman is continuing to pick up sponsors. Great to see that. It helps him continue to race here in the Truck Series. Great to see that. I'm definitely looking forward to see this one out on the racetrack in the Truck Series race at Charlotte and Texas. The next paint scheme we're going to be taking a look at is Joey Gase's 2021 Clubfoot Solution scheme that we're going to see, not this weekend. I don't remember exactly what race they're going to be running this scheme, but they're going to be running this paint scheme later this year. Great to see how Joey Gase continues to pick up sponsors. I think Clubfoot's a pretty good company, a pretty big company as well, if I'm not mistaken. I like the colors of it a lot. It looks really, really cool. And I'm definitely looking forward to see this paint scheme out on the racetrack here later this year. The next paint scheme we're going to be taking a look at is Ryan Vargas' 2021 Best Buy Swan Security scheme that we're going to see this weekend at Charlotte. I cannot remember the last time that Best Buy sponsored a car. I think the last time they sponsored a car was back in 2013 for Ricky Stenhouse Jr., so it's a familiar company that is returning. This paint scheme, by the way, looks absolutely incredible. It's really awesome that Best Buy is continuing to work with NASCAR. Great to see that they're coming back to NASCAR to sponsor Ryan Vargas. I think it's really, really cool, and I love the colors of this lot. And Ryan, congratulations, man, on getting Best Buy to sponsor you. I think that's really, really awesome. Great news over there for sure. The next paint scheme we're going to be taking a look at is Drew Dollar's 2021 Sunbelt Rental scheme that we're going to see in the Truck Series this weekend here at Charlotte. Very good paint scheme, in my opinion. The colors look really, really awesome. I really like it a lot. Great to see how Drew Dollars continue to pick up new sponsors and a great paint scheme overall that we will see this weekend in the Truck Series at Charlotte. The next paint scheme we're going to be taking a look at is Dawson Cram's 2021 Camping World Patriotic scheme that we're going to see this weekend at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Love the colors a lot. Red, white, and blue matches along with the Camping World colors. I think did a very good job on this paint scheme. I'm definitely looking forward to see this one out on the racetrack at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The next paint scheme we're going to be taking a look at is Jeb Bird's 2020 Rocky Boot scheme that we're going to see at Mid-Ohio here in a couple weeks. Really good to see Rocky Boots partnering up with Jeb Bird picking up more sponsors. Great to see that Rocky Boots is coming on and sponsor him. They did a really good job on this paint scheme. I'm definitely looking forward to see this one out on the racetrack at Mid-Ohio. The next paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Justin Neely's 2021 Walmart scheme that we are going to see this weekend at Charlotte Motor Speedway. I didn't get the patriotic colors on this as well, if I'm not mistaken, and this is the first time that Walmart is sponsoring a NASCAR car since 2019 when they sponsored Daniel Suarez. Another big company coming back in. It's really awesome to see that Walmart is coming in and stepping up the plate. Starr Motorsports had some major companies come in and sponsor them, and I think did a really good job on this paint scheme, and I'm definitely looking forward to see this one out on the racetrack at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The next paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Chase Briscoe's 2020 High Point Patriotic scheme that we're going to see this weekend at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Solid paint scheme, in my opinion. You get the high point colors we've seen, which I think those are really, really cool. You also get the patriotic red, white, and blue. They did a good job on this paint scheme, and I'm definitely looking forward to see this one out on the racetrack at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The next paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Matt DiBenedetto's 2020 Menards Master Force Tool scheme that we are going to see this weekend at Charlotte Motor Speedway. This kind of looks like the Quicken Loans, or whatever the Quick Start, whatever the one that's been sponsoring him. I think did a good job, though, on this one. It looks really, really cool. Definitely look forward to seeing this one out on the track. The green works very, very well in the Menards. Also works really, really well on this car as well. The next paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Kyle Busch's 2020 M&M's Patriotic scheme that we are going to see at Charlotte Motor Speedway this weekend for the Coca-Cola 600. Love the M&M's cars a lot. I think they did a good job. Kyle Busch usually runs a lot of really awesome M&M's Patriotic schemes. They generally have the red, white, and blue. They did a good job on this one. Can't wait to see this one out on the racetrack at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The next paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Eric Jones's 2021 Petty's Garage paint scheme, which is a patriotic scheme that we are going to see this weekend at Charlotte Motor Speedway. I love the Petty's Garage colors a lot. I think they did a really good job on this paint scheme for sure. You also get the red, white, and blue. I think they did a very good job on this paint scheme, and I'm definitely looking forward to see this one out on the racetrack this weekend at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The next paint scheme we're going to take a look at is Eric Almirola's 2020 Smithfield Patriotic scheme that we're going to see this weekend here at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Solid paint scheme, in my opinion. The colors work very perfectly. I think did a very good job on this paint scheme for sure. And I'm definitely looking forward to see this one out on the racetrack at Charlotte Motor Speedway. And the final paint scheme we're going to be taking a look at as of right now is Tyler Reddick's 2020 Alsco Uniforms Patriotic scheme that we are going to see this weekend at Charlotte Motor Speedway. It's the Alsco uniform colors, of course. Again, the Alsco colors aren't always the greatest, in my opinion, but I think they did a solid job on this paint scheme for sure. Great to see that Alsco is continuing partnering up with Rich Schultz Racing. I think they did an okay job on this paint scheme. I'm definitely looking forward to see this one out on the racetrack at Charlotte Motor Speedway this weekend. Now we're going to jump on to the next stories of today's episode. Let's go ahead and just jump straight into the first story we're going to talk about is Dave Blaney. As Dave Blaney this past weekend won his first World of Outlaws race since 1997 at Sharon Speedway. I think this is really cool of Dave Blaney. He's done World of Outlaws races in the past, the last 10 to 20 years, but the fact that he won his first World of Outlaws race in nearly 25 years is absolutely incredible. It's great to see a Dave Blaney still on the racetrack. I'd like to see Dave Blaney one day come back to the NASCAR Cup Series or another series and race in NASCAR. I think it'd be really cool if he got another opportunity to come back. I hope it happens really soon, but this is really cool to see that he won his first World of Outlaws race in nearly 25 years. I thought that was really cool for sure. It's definitely really good news for sure going forward. And now we're going to jump on to the next story of today's episode as we're talking about Shepherd Racing Ventures. As Shepherd Racing Ventures is seeking sponsorship for the 2022 season, it looks like Shepherd Racing Ventures is going to be trying to attempt to come back next year. Now, for a lot of you who don't know the story about Shepherd Racing Ventures, Shepherd Racing has not been raced this year due to the fact there's been a lack of practice qualifying, and with them not having practice qualifying, they've not been able to come to race due to the fact sponsorship has been a major issue, and these sponsors that he's had have been wanting them to do practice qualifying. Now, last year in 2020, he did race early in the year, but after the fact that there wasn't practice qualifying for any of the races coming back, they haven't been able. And I think this is good to see that Shepherd Racing Ventures is going to attempt to make a comeback. I've missed them racing. I hope they do come back. Maybe Morgan Shepherd will drive the car. Who really knows? But it sucks not seeing him out on the track this year. It's a team that I really wanted to come back, and I really wish they could have brought practice qualifying back this year. So a team like Shepherd Racing Ventures could have had an opportunity. But this is definitely some really good news for sure in regards to Shepherd Racing Ventures' future. And I'm hoping very soon they do make that comeback going forward. I think it'd be really cool for them to have that comebacks. I think it'd be really awesome news for them going forward. And now we're going to jump on to the next story of today's episode as we're talking about Keith McGee. As Keith McGee is going to be racing in the Truck Series race at Charlotte Motor Speedway in the number 3 for Jordan Anderson Racing. Now, here's something that's really cool in regards to that. He is going to end up having Barstool sponsor him. So this is the first time a Barstool is going to be sponsoring a race car driver since, I believe, last year for Clint Boyer. I think it was at Talladega, if I'm not mistaken. This is either last or 2019. They last sponsored, but really cool to see that Barstool's been coming back in the sport. They've been sponsoring drivers left, right, and center. Keith McGee had decent success, I believe, in Ray and Brothers equipment earlier this year at Richmond. I think they ran at Richmond. I think they finished in the top 35, if I'm not mistaken, with Keith McGee. I don't remember exactly. But great to see Keith McGee is getting another opportunity to race in the Truck Series once again. Great to see that. It's cool to see that he's running again, and he's running a decent car. So I think that the goal for Keith McGee is to try to finish in the top 25 or the top 30, especially since the Jordan Anderson race cars. I think you're at least capable of that. I think it'd be really cool if Keith McGee can also qualify the truck in and have a good shot of running up front. I think it'd be definitely a really cool story to see him get an opportunity to run up front. I think it'd definitely be really awesome to see that for sure. And now we're going to jump on to the next story of today's episode, as we're talking about David Starr. As David Starr is going to be driving the number 66 for MBM Motorsports in the Cup Series race at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Now, I'm a little bit confused, to be honest with this. I thought Timmy Hill was supposed to be driving a majority of races, but David Starr does drive for MBM Motorsports, and there's a good chance that they may not be able to make it in if the Jordan Anderson Racing Xfinity Series program is able to make it in Charlotte. They're only 21 points behind that 13 car. But I think this is a good opportunity for David Starr. David Starr, I know, of course, being a really successful Truck Series driver in the past, and he was running very well in the Xfinity Series race earlier this year at Homestead before the backlap between him and Noah Gragson late in the race. But I think this is an awesome opportunity for David Starr once again. I think the goal is for them, of course, they need to, I think they're going to be able to qualify, and they should be locked into the race, which is really good news for them. They need to have a very solid run and make up a lot of points because they're kind of getting low on points. And if we continue to have full qualifying fields in the Cup Series, they'll have an hard time getting in. But I think this also is a very good opportunity for David Starr, and great to see that he's going to be running in the Cup Series once again for MBM Motorsports. And now we're going to go and jump onto the next story of today's episode, as we are talking about Marcus Lemonis. As Marcus Lemonis on his NASCAR Series 7 NASCAR radio was on there with Dave Mooney, and he talked about on Friday night about what his plans are in regards to North Wilkesboro. He says that $1 million is really just a scratch of what I'm willing to put into North Wilkesboro. So there might be more funding coming to North Wilkesboro, not just $1 million. We know that he wants to put $1 million in the North Wilkesboro, but he also wants to build a camping world out there. And I'm wondering if the funding from the camping world would go back into that. I'm wondering if that's going to be the case, you know. So cool to see that Marcus Moses has been. I know we've had issues, Marcus Moses, with the Sheldon Creed stuff, but, you know, I think what Marcus Moses has been doing for NASCAR overall, putting money back into the Truck Series, trying to fund teams, trying to fund organizations, I think that's great to see. And the fact that he's willing to put not more than just $1 million in is really cool. We also know that Roy Cooper is going to be giving $10 million, $30 million out to 3 tracks. We know that North Wilkesboro's ambassador's $10 million right there. The more funding that can go to North Wilkesboro, honestly, the better for the safety of the track, because the last time they raced in North Wilkesboro, keep in mind, was in the year 1996, and we've been abandoned there for nearly 10 years overall. So the fact that we're continuing to see teams and people come in and wanting to bring that track back, people like Dillon Jr. say the Speedway want to bring that back, is really, really awesome. I hope it does happen. It'd be really, really cool, and it's great to see that Marcus Moses is continuing to step up to the plate and continue to help and sponsor organizations and sponsor North Wilkesboro's future, and hoping that we get to see that come back here very, very soon. And now we're going to go ahead and jump on to the next story of today's episode, as we are talking about Chase Briscoe. As Chase Briscoe is going to be driving the number 99 for BJ McLeod Motorsports this weekend in the NASCAR Xfinity Series at Charlotte Motor Speedway. One thing to note, BJ McLeod Motorsports is going to be attempting to have 4 cars qualify into the race with a number 76, which is going to be driven by Seven Parsons. Seven Parsons was originally supposed to drive in number 99, but this car, 99, is supposed to be backed by SHR. Now, keep in mind, BJ McLeod Motorsports does have an association with SHR in their Cup Series program. They have an alliance with them, so it definitely makes a lot of sense. Also, this past weekend at Circuit Americas, they had Kevin Harvick drive the 5. He got a top 5 in that 5 organization. And Chase Briscoe is a guy that has, of course, Chase Briscoe, I think, ran the Xfinity Series this year earlier, if I'm not mistaken. I don't remember exactly. But this is a really good opportunity for Chase Briscoe to get some more experience. I think Chase Briscoe is a very good driver. He hasn't been that great in the Cup Series this year, but in the Truck Series, he got a top 5 for Corey Roper's organization, Roper Racing, and he did really, really good over there. And I think it's a good opportunity. First, I don't remember if this car has enough owner's points yet or not to be able in. I think they do. If I'm not mistaken, this car is like 24th, 25th in the owner's points right now. And I think Chase Briscoe definitely will have a shot of making sure this car gets in. Plus, of course, I think that he will get the best out of his equipment. I think he at least will be going for top 20. But I think if he gets a top 10 with this car like Kevin Harvick did at Circuit Americas, I think that would be a really good move for him. And great to see that Chase Briscoe is getting another opportunity to race in the Xfinity Series again. And I'm glad to see that he will be racing the Xfinity Series once again for BJ McLeod Motorsports and helping that organization. And we'll see where they are at with their mile-and-a-half program. So I think that they'll at least have a shot for a top 20. And I think he'll have a shot of getting a very strong run with that organization. I'm hoping he does get that opportunity to do well, though. And now we're going to go ahead and jump on to the next story of today's episode. As been announced by Circle B Diecast, that Chase Briscoe is going to be driving a 04 for Roper Racing in the Truck Series at Knoxville Motor Speedway. Makes a lot of sense. Chase Briscoe has already ran 2 races this year. He raced at Bristol Derby, was able to get a top 5, and he raced in the Truck Series race at Kansas Speedway earlier this year, where I believe in finishing the top 25 in that 04 truck. So, I mean, it makes a lot of sense for him to come back and race for Roper Racing. I think Chase Briscoe honestly could win Knoxville, to be honest with you. He's a really good dirt racer. I mean, he won the 2018 Eldora Dirt Derby, the second to last time they did race at Eldora Derby in a photo finish with his teammate at that time, Grant Enfinger, in a really awesome photo finish. But I think this is an awesome opportunity for Chase Briscoe, especially since Chase Briscoe, of course, getting more experience. I think he'll do very, very well. I think he's got a really good shot of contending, and I'm wishing him the best luck. Great to see that he's getting an opportunity. I think his goal is to, for sure, of course, make it into the race, which I believe that truck has enough owner's points to make it into the race regardless. And I do expect Chase Briscoe, with the heats coming, of course, I think he'll do very, very well. But great to see that a lot of drivers coming out. You've got people like Donnie Schatz who are expected to race there. You've got people like Brian Brown racing there and Jessica Friesen. And I do think that we'll see a lot more dirt ringers getting announced here very, very soon. Maybe Kyle Larson will come and race in the Truck Series race. Who really knows? But yeah, this is a really awesome opportunity for sure. And great to see that we are continuing to see more Cup drivers racing in the Truck Series, at least at Knoxville. And now we're going to go ahead and jump on to the next story of today's episode, as we are talking about Scott Miller. As after the NASCAR race at Circuit Americas this past weekend, he addressed the media, and he says that addressed the NASCAR media, basically saying that they own the fact that they should have stopped it earlier the first time, said they were going to look at things to keep spray down and will learn from this race for future race situations. For a lot of you who did not watch the Circuit America race, which most of you probably did at Watch Channel, but some of you did not watch the race, there was a couple of very scary accidents that took place at the track due to visibility and spray situations. If you watched the first big wreck, there was a big wreck between when Ryan Blaney had a flat tire, Christabel had nowhere to go, and I think he ran into the back of Ryan Blaney, and Kevin Harvick, Bubba Wallace really couldn't see anything. Kevin Harvick slowed down, and Bubba Wallace ran into the back of them, basically destroyed their cars. Kevin Harvick and Martin Truex Jr. were not very happy in their post-race interview, saying it was the most dangerous stuff. Kevin Harvick was very blunt, saying we should not be racing in the rain. For the record, I want to say this. I think NASCAR drivers should be able to race in the rain. I just think that when you have visibility issues and when you can't really see anything, that's a really big problem for me. And I think NASCAR the second time made the right call. And Scott Miller, and I appreciate that NASCAR is admitting that basically they said they messed up. They made a major mistake. And usually they're not really good about admitting that they messed up. But I think Scott Miller and NASCAR did a great job at least admitting that they messed up, and they're looking at fixing things in the future. See, I think that there are things, safety precautions you do need to put. Number one, NASCAR is still learning. They're learning what they're supposed to do when it comes to rain racing. It's going to take them time to learn this stuff. I think they'll learn, they'll get better at this, and, it's new stuff for them. They're learning, and I think that, one, they have to learn this. They had to run. This is the first time that the Cup Series has ran fully in really wet rain conditions, and they really don't, they're not used to this stuff, so they're learning stuff like this, and I think that they, as time will go on, will do a much better job. But one thing I want to start seeing going forward is I want that light back there in the back of that car. That light needs to be larger. It was the size of a golf ball and a tennis ball. That light needs to be much, much larger than it is. And that's one thing I think NASCAR could also improve on. It's something that it's not also that hard to do. Also, the windshield wipers is another thing that were terrible. NASCAR is not letting them fix that. NASCAR needs to let those teams fix that. And I think that they need to bring better windshield wipers. But overall, I appreciate Scott Miller brought that out. And it's good to see that because in all honesty, Scott Miller did a great thing by bringing that up. And I think he did a great job on that going forward. And now we're going to go ahead and jump on to the next story of today's episode, as we are talking about Ty Dillon. As Ty Dillon is going to be driving the number 23 for our Motorsports at Charlotte Motor Speedway in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. It's very interesting because this is a Chevy. Now keep in mind, Ty Dillon has driven 4 races here for Joe Gibbs Racing, and we thought that Ty Dillon was supposed to be running for all the Toyota organizations. I mean, he just this past weekend drove for Gaunt Brothers Racing in the number 96. Well, it looks like that's not going to be the case anymore, or maybe he's running more races for Gaunt Brothers Racing going forward, or he's just taking this opportunity to drive the number 23 for our Motorsports. Now, keep this in mind. Our Motorsports is actually a pretty decent organization. They've had pretty good success, not just with their 23 car, which they had Andy Lally in this past weekend. He had pretty decent success in that number 23 car. But this car actually is super, super competitive. And I think that Ty Dillon will definitely have a shot of at least getting a top 10 or top 15. I just hope, though, that Ty Dillon's luck can help him, because Ty Dillon this year, especially in the Xfinity Series and even the Cup Series of points, has definitely had a lot of things go wrong this year. I mean, look back at him missing the 500 due to rules that they have there. Look back at all these Xfinity Series races, just had bad luck. Vegas, something breaks on the car, and he crashes out. Talladega gets involved in a wreck at Talladega. Really isn't even his fault. And there really was nothing he could do there. He's just had a lot of bad luck this year. And hopefully he can have some good luck getting in this race. The car definitely is pretty competitive. Just hope things can go right for him, because he's had a lot of things go wrong. He couldn't even race the Cup Series race at Talladega because Harrison Burton was in the car because he brought sponsorship. So hopefully Ty Dillon has a good run in this 23 car. It's great to see at least getting another opportunity to race this year. He has said in the past, talking about Packers, he has more races apparently lined up for this year. So we'll see what happens going forward. But yeah, great to see that Ty Dillon is getting another opportunity racing the Xfinity Series, and I hope he does very, very well in the Xfinity Series race for our Motorsports. And now we're going to go ahead and jump onto the first of 2 major stories of today's episode, as we are talking today about Kyle Larson and sponsorship. Kyle Larson officially has more sponsorship that is coming onto his car for later this year. Metrotech is going to be sponsoring Kyle Larson this weekend at the Coca-Cola 600. Now, I had to do some research and check if this is a Hendrick sponsor or not. They are not a Hendrick sponsor, so this is outside sponsorship that is going to be sponsoring Kyle Larson this weekend, which is really, really good news for us Kyle Larson fans, because that's one thing that we were kind of worried about, is that how many times is HendrickCars.com or Nations Guard going to be sponsored, because we've seen that on his car a lot this year. But there have been more races than we thought that were going to sponsor him. Of course, we know that Valvoline's going to be sponsoring 2 races here. They are sponsoring him at Darlington. I believe they're all sponsoring him in Nashville later this year, if I'm not mistaken. Freightliner is supposed to sponsor 2 races. They've already sponsored him earlier this year at Bristol Dirt. And we also have Kimmer, the other sponsor, that's sponsoring. There's been quite a few races that have been sponsored not by Kyle Larson, that basically not Hendrick sponsors that have sponsored Kyle Larson. So it's really great to see that Metric Tech is coming in to sponsor him. And that's the big concern going forward for Kyle Larson, is that how many sponsors are going to be willing to sponsor him going forward? Well, the fact that he's starting to pick up more sponsorship as time goes on, I think a lot of it is his performance. I mean, look at the performances Kyle Larson's had. Kyle Larson's had 3 straight runner-up finishes. He's got 7 top 5s, 9 top 10s here, and he's led the most laps here of any driver this year at 776. He is arguably one of the 2 or 3 best drivers that have ran this year, and their performance is speaking for himself. I think because their performance, yes, of course, he had issues last year. We all know the racial slur that he did last year, which was, again, was not a good thing he did. But the fact that he's been doing this and he's done things outside of track, but his performance on the track, I think, is overall is one of the big things that is helping Kyle Larson right now continue to pick up sponsorship. And it's great to see the Metric Tech is coming on. I like the car a lot, by the way. I think it looks really, really cool. It looks like a retro Casey Kane sponsor. And I hope that as time goes on, he does pick up more sponsors. Now, I've heard some things behind the scenes that he might have some more sponsors that could be coming, or sponsors that currently are sponsoring might extend their sponsorship with how good Kyle Larson has been performing. I would have said we will see more sponsors for Kyle Larson going forward. Really, really happy about, by the way, for Kyle Larson. He continues to pick up sponsorship because he deserves it. I mean, yes, he made a mistake last year, but he's learned from his mistakes, and I think this is really good to see that Metric Tech is coming on and sponsoring Kyle Larson. I'm definitely really happy about that for sure. And now we're going to go and jump onto the final major story of today's episode, as we are once again talking about garage access. It was reported yesterday by Bob Cockers that NASCAR is going to keep its limits for guest garages, pit areas for teams, which is going to be 8 people and drivers 4 through the Sonoma weekend. So for Charlotte and Sonoma, there are going to be the access to the infield is going to be brought back. I don't remember exactly if Coda's going to had infield access for those events, or Dover had infield access. Actually, Dover did. But there were the few races that haven't had it. But now they have extended it through the Sonoma weekend. Now, here's a news story in regards to that. NASCAR is no longer requiring guests to present proof of vaccinations because of a variety of state mandates regarding vaccination verification. I think this is really good news. I think we're slowly but surely starting to get back to normal in regards to normal life. We've seen that masks are no longer required at races on the outside. Of course, inside, you do have to wear masks and stuff when you're like inside your haulers and stuff. But NASCAR has been slowly but surely getting back to normal. A lot of racetracks, they have full capacity for their races. In fact, this upcoming weekend at Charlotte is going to be the first normal weekend. We got full capacity back, no masks required. This past weekend at Coda, masks were basically gone at that racetrack. You've got a lot of tracks like Pocono that's going to have full access. You've got Atlanta that's going to have full capacity. You have Daytona later this year. Bristol expect to have full capacity. You have Kansas. You have a lot of races. The All-Star race, another race, that's going to have full capacity. And I think slowly but surely things are beginning to come back to normal. I think a lot of it is that vaccines are growing in this country. A lot of people are continuing to get vaccinated. I think 35 to 36, I think almost 40% of people are almost completely vaccinated. And nearly 30, a lot of people are going to be fully vaccinated really, really soon. My parents are fully vaccinated right now. And, you know, I think it's great to see this. And the fact that NASCAR is continuing to open up garage access to people is really, really good. I think pretty soon here, things are going to fully get back to normal. I would not be surprised if a lot more tracks coming up here in the coming weeks are going to announce that they're going to have more fans allowed going forward. I think, by the way, though, this is absolutely really good news to see that we're seeing this because, again, the sooner that we can get everything back to normal, my honest opinion, the better it is going to be for the sport. And I'm glad that they're doing this. And, you know, I think that it should be recommended. They're recommending that you do get the vaccine, which I think is very, very smart in NASCAR's part to recommend the vaccine. I think that's really, really smart. But at the same time, I want things to fully get back to normal. The sooner, the better. And I think it'd be great for the sport. I'm really happy to see that things are continuing to get back to normal. And I'm really excited for the future of NASCAR going forward. As I'm currently editing today's video, it was just announced that the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park Race has unfortunately been canceled, and Darlington is going to be replacing it for the Labor Day weekend. This does not surprise me at all, to be honest with you. As a matter of fact, I kind of expected this to happen, and the reason I kind of expected this unfortunately to happen is due to the fact that Canada is in a much worse state right now than the United States. They still have stay-at-home orders currently up in Canada right now. I mean, the Toronto GP for IndyCar has been canceled. The Canadian Grand Prix for at Montreal has unfortunately been canceled in Formula 1. And they delayed the start of the Penny Series to basically later in August this year. They've been doing a lot of things up in Canada. They've been basically having a hard time getting things opened up there. And unfortunately, Darlington is going to be replacing Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. It's really unfortunate because Canadian Tire Motorsports Park has put on a lot of good races. And unfortunately, the last 2 years since 2019, there really hasn't been any racing in the last couple of years. And this could put generally in jeopardy the future of Canadian Tire, especially on the Truck Series schedule going forward. This could put that in the jeopardy in the future, since a lot of fans are going to get used to that, the fact that Canadian Tire is not going to be on a schedule for 2 years. This is the one race I've kind of been kind of worried about for a long time, due to the fact of what's been going on up in Canada. I mean, I've been worried about it since the beginning of the year. This is one of the only races I've been worried about. We know that we've only had one other race that's been affected by COVID-19, and that, of course, being, can't remember exactly, I think it was Daytona Road Course getting moved from the Auto Club Speedway, and then they changed up the extension on that. So it's really unfortunate Darlington's going to be replacing. We'll probably see some good racing. We're going to see a crash fest like we did in the Truck Series. But yeah, really unfortunate Canadian Tire is not going to be happening this year. It is really disappointing. So anyway, that is going to be for today's NASCAR news video. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe to the channel, notification on to be notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support my Patreon as well. Links in the description below for that, and comment your thoughts on today's video. What are your thoughts about Kyle Larson continuing to pick up new sponsors? Let me know in the comments below. And what are your thoughts about all the other stories in today's episode? Let me know in the comments below. Anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video, and I'll see you guys next time for some more great and awesome NASCAR content. Take care, everybody.